At Vinton County National Bank, we believe in supporting the areas where we live and work. Now, we'd like to honor those who also serve our communities. Our new Community Champions account is especially for first responders, veterans, active military, and anyone employed in the fields of healthcare or education. This account offers rewards, discounts, and other benefits to those who give so much to others. Vinton County National Bank, rewarding those who serve.
Would you like to work closer to home, save money on gas, and be rewarded for your hard work and attendance? Then Bellisio Foods is looking for you. That's right, Bellisio Foods is now hiring for multiple positions and shifts with great employee benefits, an on-site health clinic, competitive wages, and advancement opportunities. Bellisio Foods is a company that truly values their employees. Apply online at BellisioFoods.com/careers.
Happy Tuesday, everyone. Happy Tuesday, James.
Happy Tuesday, Jennifer.
We're here.
We are here.
We're so glad to have you back. We missed you.
Thank you. I missed you.
Are your fingers crossed?
No.
Does that mean you're telling a fib?
No, I would never. I miss being here so much. I would have so much rather been here on Main Street TV than on vacation last week.
Sure.
Yep.
With your girlfriend.
Yes. Yes. I would have much rather been here.
Okay, I'll give you that.
But it seems like you guys held down the fort pretty well while I was gone.
Yeah, for sure. And I do, want to give a big shout out to everybody that pitched in, and especially our sweet Dillon, who had to kind of become James for the week and do all of the crazy crap that you have to do all the time.
Yeah, I think Dillon got a little bit of a taste of what it's like to just have people pop in here, ask you to do things that you don't know how to do, have nobody here to ask how to do them, and then just have to learn how to do it. Yes. And then do it. Is that an accurate description, Dillon?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
I was witness to numerous times of people popping in and being like, oh, James is on vacation. Well, Dillon, do you know how to blah, blah, blah? And he'd be like,
no.
And, he was
sure.
That's basically, and then they would leave and I'd be like, Dillon, do you know how to do it? No. Well, maybe.
But I think you figured it all out for the most part.
But you did.
Yeah,
and that's problem solving. And that's actually a really good skill to have that some folks I feel like don't have.
Oh yeah. I've had people come to me and ask me like really basic questions, and it's just like, well, I don't necessarily know how to do that myself, but I know how to figure it out, and you probably should know how to figure it out too.
Correct.
Yeah.
But so like my reaction to that is like if someone told you you were going to die if you didn't figure out how to do that, could you figure it out?
Depends on what it is. Yeah, I know. If I had to do some like physics equation,
well, okay, but like something basic that they're just like asking because they don't want to
like drive a tour bus without going below 60 miles per hour.
Ooh,
like in speed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or a cruise ship.
Yeah.
Speed
like
2.
Speed 2.
Or steal a semi and back it up all the way down the highway.
Yeah, that happened while I was gone. So I saw a little.
I can't get over it.
I saw a little blurb about it on Facebook.
Did you see the video?
Well, I saw Jeremiah was live there, and nothing was really happening when I saw the video, so I didn't really get like.
Did you see someone posted an actual video of the police yanking the dude out? Yes, and the police yanking the dude out, and the guy going backwards down the highway, and it's on Facebook.
Okay, I have to look it up.
It's on that that Guardian site or whatever. What is it called?
I think like Watcher or something.
Yeah, it's on that site.
Well, see if you can find that real quick, Dillon.
It is a hoot. It's on Facebook, Dillon, if you can find it. I don't know if they care if we show their video or not, but you shouldn't put it on Facebook if you don't want us to show it.
Yeah.
So
we'll
all kind of crazy things happen. I will say that I have driven a semi.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Did I tell you that?
I have driven the Sixth Sense beer delivery van. That's the closest thing to a semi I've been in.
And what did you say, James?
I don't want to do it again. The thing is rattly.
No, you so this is the weird thing about our delivery van. If it's packed down,
Yeah.
it's fine. They're meant to be
They're meant
loaded
to be
down.
loaded, yeah.
And so when it's like all loosey goosey when there's
Yeah.
nothing in it,
Yeah.
it's very rattly. Yes.
Yeah, I've been in some U-Hauls, and it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah. But no, when we used to have an advertiser that had a semi truck school.
Oh, yeah?
Like a truck driving school.
Sure.
And he was like, come down, and he wanted me to do some videos and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So I did. And he's like, I'm going to have you drive a truck before you leave. And I was like, there is no flipping way I am driving a
Mhm.
semi truck. Like with the trailer and the whole 9 yards.
Did you have to back it up?
Yes. And so the thing is, like, if you don't know, you have to like double clutch
Mm-hmm.
a semi truck. So you like have to push the clutch in and then push the clutch in again to get it to like shift into gear. So that was like really complicated. And then if you think about it, you can't see, right? So like
Yeah.
your back window of your cab is looking into a big trailer. So you're just like,
Mm-hmm.
but I did it. I mean, you know, in a closed
Yeah,
in
with somebody-
parking lot.
Yeah. With somebody whispering in your ear
Yeah.
when to turn and whatnot. Yeah.
But it was fun. But it's hard.
Yeah. On the show Mythbusters?
Yeah.
We're talking about we're joking about speed.
Yeah.
Another movie cliche is like you're on an airplane and the pilot becomes disabled somehow
Yes.
and a passenger has to land the plane.
Correct.
So there's an episode of Mythbusters where they test to see if someone that has never flown a plane before could land a plane
Okay.
just based on like somebody telling them how to do it over the radio.
I think there's a lot of would be so many factors
Yeah.
involved in that. Like what kind of plane? Like a big
Like a passenger plane.
like a commercial
Yeah.
plane?
Yeah, like a commercial
Okay.
plane. So anyway, they did in this little flight simulator with like, a ground control kind of in their headset telling them what to do, and they were all able to do it.
Really?
Yeah.
It seems like the commercial planes, I don't know. I've never flown a plane, but it seems like they would be almost easier than
I think so because
they
there's
do a lot of stuff themselves.
There's a lot of automation, yeah. But
Still.
still
Do you want to be in charge of that?
no.
I'm
No.
How you doing, Dillon?
Well, I did my best, but I cannot.
All right. That's okay. We'll
Okay.
talk more about
Yeah.
next time it's in the news. We'll talk more about
We're
the
gonna
semi-truck.
find this. We're gonna find this video and show it because
but-
it was a hoot.
So I want to tell you about my vacation.
Yes, because James went on vacation last week.
Yeah.
We know that you missed him.
I
We missed you.
I know.
And Dillon definitely
Dillon
missed you.
definitely did, but before I get into the vacation, I want to give Dillon one more shout out.
Yes.
Because Dillon, well, I got another shout out for Dillon later, but
Okay.
right now my shout out for Dillon is that he covered the Homegrown Happy Hour by himself this week. He did all of the video. I know that was asking a lot of him.
Yes.
And I think it was a fairly stressful experience because he was just kind of out there on his own, kind of without a safety net. But, he did it. Some of the videos are out there now. You can check them out. The performer on last week's show was Corduroy Brown
Yes.
from Huntington. Super talented guy.
Yep.
But a little bit of a side note to Corduroy's performance on Homegrown Happy Hour, which you can listen to in its entirety on the Homegrown Happy Hour podcast.
There you go.
Available on all major podcast platforms.
Yes.
But before the show, he had put out on social media that he had a used guitar that he was interested in donating to somebody that was interested in learning guitar.
Yes.
Well, a gentleman that you may know,
Yes.
Morgan Washam, who's been on the show several times, who, of course, helps with the Bart Wiseman Sonic Rhythm Academy, which is, a charity teaching kids how to play instruments. Saw that post and was like, hey, I know some kids that could absolutely use that guitar.
Absolutely. Yes.
So Morgan reached out to Corduroy and said, hey, told him about the Sonic Rhythm Academy and said, I've got a student that could definitely use that. So at Homegrown Happy Hour this past Thursday. Dylan's got the picture. So here's Corduroy Brown
That's so good.
presenting Lily Lininger. Is that right, Dylan?
So.
All right. So yeah. So Lily Lininger being presented that guitar by Corduroy Brown on Homegrown Happy Hour.
It was so good.
Yeah. And so of course she is a student in the Sonic Rhythm Academy.
That's right. And now
Here.
you get to hear Lily play that guitar every time they perform.
Yep. So Morgan said that she is one of their star students, but she didn't have a guitar. And Corduroy agreed that this was a great idea. He cleaned it up, made it look brand new. When he arrived, he brought his student with Morgan brought Lily with him, and Corduroy approached her and explained the story behind the guitar and how him and Morgan had set this up. And Lily said that she is very thankful and appreciated the gesture.
That is so sweet.
Yeah. Corduroy said, music has helped me so much and made me happier. I know it will make her happy and she will make others happier. That is the whole goal. And that is the goal of music.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Absolutely.
Make people feel things.
What a wonderful, wonderful story.
Yeah. Very sweet. Very nice gesture. And the Sonic Rhythm Academy performed yesterday at the Jackson County Fair.
They did.
Mhm. Yep. As part of the Rock This Life
Yes.
Free Kids Day, the Sonic Rhythm Academy performed.
I think that's so wonderful. And what they're doing is a great, great, great gesture. And Bart would be so happy about it.
Yeah. Oh,
he
yeah.
would just love it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yep.
But hey, speaking of music,
Yeah.
I just got back from Music City, USA.
You did.
Nashville, Tennessee.
You went to Nashville, Tennessee, somewhere I've never been, strangely enough.
Yeah, that surprised me a little bit.
Yeah.
It seems like a place that you would be into.
I know. And it's like totally on our short list of places to visit, but we just haven't
never made it there.
Made it there yet. Yeah. And the great thing is, I will say, I have been to Nashville one time, but it was just staying the night on a trip to Florida. It was like the halfway point.
Yeah.
But I did stay the night in Nashville on my 21st birthday.
Oh, did you go out?
I did, and I did not get carded, and I was so mad.
Yeah. That's kind of my memory of my 21st birthday, too.
I'm like, the girl, we just went to dinner. It wasn't like we went out like to a bar or anything. We went to dinner, and I was with adults, so it wasn't like, I'm sure that they were just like, this girl's old enough or she wouldn't be ordering
a drink.
And she just kept on walking, and I was like,
But this was back when the drinking age was 18.
yeah,
right?
exactly.
1976. Look at that face you're giving.
I'm glad you crack yourself up.
Hey, you're cracking me up today. But anyway, we had a lot of fun.
I was born in 75. Thank you very much.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Okay. So back to your trip.
So yeah, we had a lot of fun. I'm going to make Dillon. I didn't send Dillon any picture of this, so I'm going to see how fast.
I'm crying already.
We're
just cracking ourselves up this morning.
So I didn't send Dillon any pictures of this. So I'm going to make him see how fast he can find this.
Okay.
So the first place we stopped was
the
Bernheim Arboretum and Research Forest. And man, look how fast he's typing. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna impress him. I'm gonna find this real fast." But so it's Bernheim, Bernheim, and so the reason this is near Louisville, Kentucky, and so it's really beautiful, kind of like nature preserve.
Yeah.
But the reason we stopped here is they have these sculptures of these giants.
Yes.
They're like trolls.
And it's so funny because I saw like your pictures, but I wasn't like understanding where you were, what was going on. So this is really cool.
It's very neat place. I'd heard of this before, and I'd seen pictures of these statues.
Yeah, like how do you find these places?
Like I said, I'd just seen other people stop there, like on Facebook and stuff like that before. But they're very, very cool. And like I said, they're these big wooden statues of like trolls.
And so they're like carved out, like someone's like.
Well, they're not
carved-
really carvings. They're like put together piece by piece,
like of
those-
trees and stuff. Like
Yeah. It's all wooden. I mean,
Okay.
it's screwed together, like it's built. Like it's not like whittled out of a tree.
Okay.
Like it's
because
built.
they're
and-
huge.
Yeah, they're I don't know, 15 to 20 feet tall, maybe. They're mostly sitting, so they're like if. This is not it.
No.
That is not
That
it.
is
at
metal,
all.
not trees.
And they're not trolls. So search. So it's BERNHEIM, and then search giants. So they're like big wooden trolls.
Oh yeah, I've seen these before.
Okay.
He found it.
What was that picture you showed? It was just a statue of
It's
some
just
guy
like-
named Bernheim.
Something about Bernheim. Yeah.
Yeah, that was not it. But
Oh,
these
funny.
were very, very cool. So they
So is this like a park that you
Yeah,
have to
I
pay
guess-
to get into, or
No,
you just
well,
stop and?
no, it's donation only.
Okay.
I don't think it's a state park. I think it's privately run. I'm not really sure. But it was really neat. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So that is the smallest one, I think, actually. But yeah, so it's very cool. It's just made out of like planks of wood and stuff like that. It's really neat. This one, it's kind of hard to see in this picture, but if you could see a wider view, you see how it's got its hand on a stone.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of other stones off to the side there, and it's kind of like it's playing a game, like throwing stones.
Okay.
But it's all these like big stones.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so it's really cool. So
I
this
wonder how they keep those things like in good shape. Like, do they seal them or?
I
Wonder.
would say it's probably sealed the same way you would a wooden deck or
Yeah.
something like that. But yeah, these were built by an artist out of Sweden, I think.
Okay.
And then they were built there, like on site, or at least assembled on site. That is not one of them. That may be the same artist, but that is not one of these. That is somewhere else. But yeah,
Dillon.
Well,
He's
it-
1 for 3.
yeah. Well, that may have been the same artist because it looks very similar,
looks
but
the
that
same.
is not one of these ones.
I wonder
But-
if that artist assembles or develops furniture for IKEA.
Maybe
that's-
if he is Swedish.
You know,
yeah.
the Swedish way of putting things together is pretty brilliant.
Yeah, you may be right. That may have been what inspired him. But it was really cool. They had this big like lake there. It was just like full of turtles. Just so many turtles. I'd never seen so many turtles in all my life.
That's weird.
Just turtles everywhere.
Did you did you pet one?
I did not pet any of
No?
the turtles. There were a few other people there in attendance that were very amazed by the turtles, and it was
Okay.
quite funny. See, city folk that had never seen a turtle before. I
Isn't
think.
that wild?
Yeah. But that was very cool. So it was just kind of about a 2-mile hike. They have a really nice little like lodge there, the gift shop and a restaurant and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay.
And then there's a lot of like hiking to do. And we just did the one trail where you went through and saw those giants. Like I said, it was about 2 miles down and back. It was a lot of fun. It was incredibly hot.
I bet.
And this was really funny. So they know it's kind of long. So there's like a parking lot kind of in the middle of it. So if you want to kind of skip half of it, and you can just
I
drive
see.
around and park there. But we walked the whole way. And when we got to that parking lot, the Kona Ice guy is parked right there.
Brilliant.
And I was like, dude, that guy is smart. He knows everybody's doing this walk and they're just like dying
I just need
because
Kona
that
Ice.
parking lot was like at the hottest part because there's a part that doesn't have any shade.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that dude is smart. But it was very cool. They had lots of really beautiful like flowers and foliage and things like that. Really interesting stuff, plants that you
Cool.
don't normally see
Yeah.
growing in our region. Very, very cool. And then, so from there, we made it into Nashville proper.
Okay.
And the main reason that we went was we went to see one of my girlfriend's favorite bands
Yes.
at the Ryman Auditorium, which is, of course, the original home of the Grand Ole
Grand Ole
Opry.
Opry, yeah.
Yeah, building. Yeah, so here's the inside of it here. So this was originally built in like 1850, I think.
Yeah, and you were telling me, and I did not know this, that it was originally a church.
Yeah, so it is originally was the Union Baptist Tabernacle Church or something like that.
Wow.
And it's still, so I think I sent you a photo of the outside, Dylan. It's a red brick building.
Looks like a church.
Yeah, it looks like a church. So there is a like a keystone or whatever, cornerstone, whatever you want to call it, on the front. Yeah, so you can kind of see it, but
wow.
you can't read it. You can't read it in that picture, but it still has the original name on it, and it is.
It doesn't look like a music venue from the outside.
No, it
right?
really doesn't. So yeah, so it was the Union Gospel Tabernacle.
Nice.
And so if you look there in the very center, there's a little kind of tan pitched thing.
Yeah.
So it is that's what's written on that's keystone there.
Cool.
So it was, see if I can find 1892 is when it opened its doors.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's been around a while.
It's been around for a long time. Helen Keller gave a presentation there.
Really?
Yeah. So obviously in the early days, it was mostly like revivals, church revivals and things like that. And then 1940s, like radio became like a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that is sort of what the Grand Ole Opry was born out of, is those like early days of radio.
Yeah.
It's very cool inside there. There is still, you could still see the radio booth and things like that off the side. Really, really cool venue. Not like any concert venue I had been to before.
You said it's like still church pews.
Yeah,
and
the
stuff.
chairs are still church pews.
This is wild.
And it's not big. I don't know how many people it sits. I'm going to look up how many people it sits. Because one thing I was thinking when we were in there is like, man, this is really not that big. Like it doesn't really seem like it would fit that many more people than like Stewart's Opera House in Nelsonville.
Yeah.
I don't look up how many people it sits. But it was very cool. Yeah, so 2,362 is
That's
max
not a lot.
capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really not a lot. We did not get to go up in the balcony, but if you look at a picture of the balcony is a lot bigger than it seems like it is.
Okay.
But yeah, it was very, very cool. So it was in like really bad condition back in like the 70s and 80s, and it was in danger of being demolished, or maybe a little earlier than that. I don't remember the years exactly. But then Emmylou Harris recorded a live album there. Emmylou Harris, and it won a Grammy Award.
Uh-huh.
And then they were like, well, we can't tear this down now.
We better
because she just made it famous again. So then they began kind of remodeling it, and
That's amazing.
it reopened in 1994
Great
for
story.
like full on, full speed ahead concerts and everything. Yeah, so it was very, very cool.
So that's cool. So you guys got to experience Nashville. You kind of went down for that concert, but also got to experience a lot more.
Yeah. So there's a lot of neat things in Nashville. We went to Antique Archaeology, which is the American Pickers store.
Have you guys ever seen the show American Pickers? They went, that's so cool.
So they have a store there.
Did you get to meet any of the pickers?
So no, but I do have a little bit of a side story to that in a minute. So, but yeah, it's in this historic building that used to be like a car factory or something.
Okay.
Very
That would make
cool
sense.
building.
Is that it?
That is not it. Sorry, I didn't send you a picture of this. I'm sorry, Dylan. You can't, if you want to search Antique Archaeology Nashville, you can find a picture. I didn't take very many pictures inside because it was kind of dark and moody lighting.
Yeah.
But it was very cool. It was a fun mix of like souvenir-y type things and like actual antiques and stuff like that. I almost bought one antique there. They had these vintage Kodak advertisements from like photo developing like kiosks or whatever.
Yeah.
I almost bought one of those. It's just like a big poster. And I was like, "What? I don't need
I
don't need to spend $50 on a old poster of a dog." But it was very neat in there. It was really cool. it's if you've watched that show, you know the kind of things that they're into, like motorcycles and gas
and old signs.
Yeah, there's a lot.
That.
Yeah,
Is that it?
that is it. So that's what it looks
Cool.
like inside there. Yeah, I think that's it.
Very good.
Yeah. So there's an Evel Knievel jumpsuit. That's that white jumpsuit there in the middle. We saw that when we were in there. So it was very cool. And then another neat place we went to that was not too far from there. You can look a picture of this up too, Dillon. So we went to Third Man Records, which is Jack White's record store. Jack White from the band The White Stripes.
Yeah.
So we were only able to go into the gift shop area, but this is actually a working record pressing plant.
So, they actually physically make records
vinyl
there.
Yeah, they physically make
so
vinyl
cool.
records there. And it's one of the few factories left in all of the world that still does this. And they are a big, when you go into Walmart right now and you see this, they have vinyl records in Walmart, and this place is a big part of why that still exists. So it was very cool. And again, it's very similar to the American Picker place. It's a little bit of that is a different location, maybe. I don't know. Like I said, we were only in the gift shop area. So this is not where we were at, but that is another location that they have, or another part of that building that we didn't get to go in. But it was very cool. And again, a lot like the American Picker place, it was kind of part little museum and kind of part little gift shop.
That's so fun.
And it was really fun and kind of kitschy. This was kind of funny. So my girlfriend bought a vinyl record there, and it was like a double pack. It's got two vinyls.
Okay.
When we got home a couple days later and went to listen to it, we realized that they gave us two identical records instead of both discs.
No!
So she's gonna have to email them and be like, "Hey, can you send me another copy of this?
Send me the other record."
So I guess when you're dealing with analog things like that, sometimes stuff like that happens.
Hey, maybe you could sell that on eBay for a whole lot of money because it was a mistake.
Yeah, maybe. And then, so Dillon, you want to put the picture that you put up just a minute ago, that printing press that I told you? Yeah. So this was really cool. So we did go to the Country Music Hall of Fame, but we didn't do the full tour.
Okay.
We just did a tour of this facility. And so this is the Hatch Show Print. This is a printing press company that has been in business since the 1800s.
Wow.
They still make signs and posters the old-fashioned way.
That's
laying
cool.
out type one letter at a time, running ink on it and running it through that press. Is
Oh
very
my
so it's
gosh.
very cool. I got to do a little bit of this sort of thing in college, and I really enjoyed it. But it was very cool. These guys made the lineage for this company goes back to, like I said, the 1850s or whatever. But they really kind of grew with the music scene in Nashville, and they started making all the posters for the Ryman, all the Opry posters, everybody that did a show at the Ryman. And that's kind of what made them somewhat historically significant and helped them be able to survive as long as they have.
That's awesome.
And they are still surviving, and they now have a print shop inside the Country Music Hall of Fame. They still make by hand posters for every single show at the Ryman.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah. And they're, limited edition and all
Yeah.
that stuff. So it's very, very cool. We got to make a little poster, run it through the press and everything.
Oh, you did? They let you
Yeah.
do that? That's
Yeah.
so fun.
And then we bought their poster that they had made for the show that we went to,
oh, cool.
which was, a very cool kind of souvenir.
Yeah.
But it was really neat. And Dillon, give a Google, just Google that, Google Hatch Show Print, and then find one of the posters. There's probably an Elvis one that'll pop up. So you'll see kind of the style. And as a graphic designer, I am now inspired to make everything look like
just
this.
like that.
even though it looks like it,
It's
because
so
of the
old school.
limitations of the medium
Yeah.
they're using, and of course doing everything on a computer, you don't have those limitations. You're sort of intentionally. But
Weren't you telling me yesterday, or maybe I dreamed it, that they did the poster for one of the Elvis shows
Mhm.
where he got
Yeah.
it was one of the scandalous shows?
yeah, it was one of the ones where it was it was segregated, and he wasn't allowed to dance. He was supposed to stand there, and he went and he wiggled
And he did it anyway.
Yeah, and then like the police, kind of shut the whole thing down, and it was sort of skyrocketed his early kind of popularity. Yeah, so that's that poster right there in the middle. So that gives you an idea of the kind of things that they do. It's very cool. Very, very cool.
How could they be that creative using the limited things that they,
Yeah, it's very cool. And it's one of the things that's really neat is it's like the letters and even a lot of the art are things that, I mean, this is a modern one here, but they reuse the same letters and the same images and stuff like this over and over again. And little like decorative flourishes like those stars on that Patsy Cline poster, you may see those same exact stars on another poster.
Sure.
Because that's just a little block that they can print, and they will, kind of figure out creative ways to rearrange it and stuff. So yeah, it's very neat, very old school, very cool stuff. But yeah, so I really enjoyed that. It was a very, very cool tour.
They should make a computer program that limits you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, okay, figure this out, tough guy.
Yeah. And then the one last thing I want to show, and then we'll get on to talk about something other than my vacation.
Oh, wait, but First Aid Kit. So tell everybody about that. So you went to see this band called First Aid Kit.
So
it's one of Aubrey's favorite bands.
Yeah, the band we saw was called First Aid Kit. They're one of my girlfriend's favorite bands. I really only know them from her playing them in the car all the time. And I'm wearing,
osmosis.
And I'm wearing my concert T-shirt today in preparation for talking about this on the show. But yeah, they're very cool. They're from Sweden. They are Fleetwood Mac is probably the best kind of like classic thing to compare them to that most people would know. Florence and the Machine also kind of similar. But yeah, they do a lot of harmony. They've got kind of like a folky kind of bass to them, but they will also mix in like pop music and synthesizers and little rock guitar, a little twangy guitar. So it's very cool. They really put on a great show. It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
I never heard of them, and I'm trying to find them now to listen to.
Yeah. Well, we'll look them up on Spotify or YouTube or something a little bit. But yeah, they just had a new album come out like late last year, early this year, so they're out touring it. Very, very cool. Like I said, if you like Fleetwood Mac or like just sort of vocal harmonies, you would probably enjoy it.
Sure.
It was one thing I was surprised by at the concert. I thought everybody at that show would be like 24 to 35 female.
Right.
I thought that is their demographic. There would not be anybody outside, and I was wrong. There was just as many men there as women. And there was a lot of older couples there too,
cool.
which kind of surprised me. I don't know if people just.
Which you wonder, is it just like date night? Let's go to the music venue. It doesn't matter who it is.
There may have been, especially since it was a historic venue.
Yeah.
So there may have been a little bit of that, but I think most people there were legitimate fans.
Because I know that like when Jamie and I went down to Asheville, the very first time we went, there's a really cool in Asheville, North Carolina. There's a really cool music venue called the Orange Peel, and we just went to go to the Orange Peel. We didn't know who we were even seeing, but it ended up being someone really, really cool, and we still listen to today. Actually, both bands, but that we heard, but. So I just wonder how many people just go to say, I went to the Ryman.
I'm sure there was some of that, but everybody, I mean, it was a big cheering and stuff like that. So I think most people were there for them, but I don't know. Talk about music. I will say this. So we didn't spend very much time on Broadway Street, which is where all the honky tonks and stuff are.
Yeah. So that's like, the strip where.
Yeah. Like the main, like.
Is that Broadway?
Yeah,
okay.
There
it is.
There is a neon guitar in every window. We did not spend a whole lot of time here. But I will say this. every single person we have had on Homegrown Happy Hour is better than every single person I heard playing on Broadway Street in Nashville. Some of it was rough.
See, and that's so weird because you think there's so much talent down in Nashville.
I'm sure that it was there, and I'm sure we just didn't go to the right
just
place at
didn't
the
hear
right
it.
time. The places we were, rough. But like I said, you know, people were there doing what they were getting paid to do.
Right. Oh boy.
So two other things I want to mention. On the way out of Nashville, we stopped at an antique store, and I had kind of been saying like, "Oh, we're in Nashville. I need a cowboy hat.
A cowboy hat.
I need a cowboy hat." And there's this one hat store like downtown I kind of wanted to go to, but it wasn't really close to anything else we went to, and we drove by it once, but we were really hungry and like we're not.
It's like
it's time to eat. It's not time.
It's
not time to stop at the hat store. It's time to eat. So we didn't get to go to the hat store. So, but we stopped at this little antique store.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't a little antique store. It was a big antique store. It was freaking 2 warehouses. But we're walking around, and lo and behold, right there is a Stetson hat. And for $40 is $120 hat. And I was like, well, there we go. And it fits.
And it fits your head.
And it looks great with my glasses. I don't look dorky at all.
It looks good.
Yeah. So
Killing it.
Yeah. So I left Nashville with a cowboy hat. It's not really a cowboy hat, but it's
hey,
close.
that hat's like in style right now.
I think it's a very stylish hat.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I'm going to wear it in public, but
looks
I'm
like
wearing
our
it
friend
right
Ben
now
Davis
today.
Jr. should be
Well,
wearing it.
yeah, I don't want Ben to think that I'm like trying to
copy him.
copy his hat game.
You know what you could do is just make that a fun piece of decor in your house. Like just put up a hook and hang it on the wall and make that part of a little collage thing.
I could.
And then if you want to wear it, you can just take it off.
I might do that. I might find a good spot to hang it. Yeah.
And it makes for a good story as to why you.
I think it makes for a good story.
You know why you have a hat hanging on your wall, and it is a Stetson. Literally, it says Stetson on it.
It's a Stetson hat. It is a Stetson crushable 100% wool water repellent hat made in the USA, and it is the Sturgis model.
The Sturgis model.
Yeah.
Sounds fancy.
So I think it's cool. So feel free to tell me in the comments how good I look in this hat. And so before we get off my vacation, there's one other thing that I want to mention.
Yeah.
So on our way home, we stopped in Cave City, Kentucky, which is near Mammoth Cave, which is a national park. And we were looking for somewhere to stay in that area. And it's pretty rural, so there's not a lot of hotels.
Yeah.
But we found a little roadside motel.
Yes.
It was teepees.
But it's like a hotel room within a teepee.
Yeah.
It's not really just an open teepee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So these have a shower. They have air conditioning.
Yeah.
Bed.
Like all
windows.
the amenities of
It was
this
everything
is straight out of a vacation movie.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. It was. Yeah. It's very, very like Route 66 kind of thing. So this is called Wigwam Village Number 2. And it was built in 1937.
Wow.
So this guy, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but he went out west. He saw a restaurant that looked like a teepee. He got inspired. He came back home to Kentucky and built a lunch counter / gas stop that looked like a teepee. And at the time, this was a main highway that a lot of people were going through there. This was in the late 30s. So this was, pre-World War II. Car vacation by cars was kind of a new fad.
Okay.
And he was just kind of perfect timing for that. So a lot of people were stopping, seeing his lunch counter that looked like a teepee. Thought it was super cool. They were like, hey, you should make motel rooms that look like teepees.
There you go.
And he said, that is a great idea. So he did. And he made a little motel park that looks like this. And then he made another one like on the other side of town. And they were both successful. So then he went out west and started building these along Route 66 into California.
Okay.
And at one point he had like 12 of these.
Different motels,
Different,
TP motels.
different, yeah, different. So he called them wigwams. They're not wigwams. They're teepees. He just liked the word wigwam, I guess.
Okay, what's the difference?
Well, I think I don't really. A wigwam, I think, was made out of like sticks, and it was more of a.
Okay.
And it was not a permanent structure. Maybe
Okay.
I don't know. But it was the early days. It was very much kind of like kitschy Native American themed.
Yeah.
So a lot of them have closed over time as like interstate highways were built, and these
Yep.
smaller, state highways were used less and less and less
Sure.
and bypassed. And then a lot of them were closed, demolished, whatever. This particular one is on the National Registry of Historic Places.
That's so fun.
And it had fallen in pretty bad disrepair.
Uh-huh.
And another couple purchased it in 2020, and they are currently still in the process of remodeling it. And they are very much remodeling it with the idea of this is a part of like American history, not this is a kitschy Native American themed thing. They are
Okay.
very much kind of saying like, in no way is this an accurate representation of
So-
Native American life.
That was going to be my next question. Is this how have they gotten by with this with it not being offensive
Yeah,
to people?
well, they are very kind of upfront, like they're like, this is cultural appropriation. It was cultural appropriation in the 30s, and it's cultural appropriation now. We see this as being historically significant to the history of car travel in the United States,
Sure.
vacationing in the United States, and America's kind of love affair with like Native American culture from that era. And it's really interesting. It's an interesting debate to have. They have a little book that was in all of the rooms that talked about the history of how these places were built.
That's
This is
super cool.
actually like a patented design. Like he has
Oh.
like the original, he patented this, and I don't know who owns the patent now. But so it has all that history, but it also talks about that conflict of it being cultural appropriation.
Right.
It talks about how like this is not how the Native Americans that lived in Kentucky lived.
Yeah.
They did not. There were nobody built teepees in Kentucky. That's not how Native Americans from that era lived. They talk about what Native Americans from that part of the world were, and they also talked about other kind of like rumors and
Well, it sounds like
you
they,
know,
they
things
did it
like-
tastefully.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, like I mean,
Mhm.
there's such a fine line there.
Yeah, and it's interesting, and it's an interesting debate to have. But yeah, but the bottom line is I had a lot of fun staying there, and it was just kitschy and really fun. If you've seen the movie Cars, they stay in a hotel that looks an awful lot similar to that, only instead of teepees, they're orange traffic cones. So it was obviously inspired by this
That's right.
same guy's kind of villages.
And if you've seen the new Vacation movie, they stay
Yeah, they
in
stay
a place.
in a very similar place. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if that was one of this guy's
Yeah, I
teepees or
don't know.
not. I don't know.
I mean, it looks just like it.
yeah,
So.
well, yeah, we'll look it up and see.
Yeah.
But it was very cool.
So James is like showing us this place, like when he was deciding whether he was going to stay or not. We were all
Mhm.
like, yes, you have to. We have to know.
Hmm.
So then you sent us, when you got there, you sent us a picture of the place. And I said, is there a teepee within your teepee?
There was
And he sent me a picture
there
of
was
the teepee
there
within
was
the teepee.
there was sufficient teepee inside of the teepee.
Yeah. So I was glad to get that picture.
Yeah.
Was it soft?
Yeah, it was fine. I mean, it wasn't like Charmin Ultra Salt or whatever, but it was it was serviceable.
It was fine.
Yeah.
It was fine.
Yeah.
So no, that's so good. And road trips, while are very tiring,
Hmm.
can be so fun and cool because kind of it's like, I mean, you can have everything planned out, but it's almost like, some
Yeah.
things you just squirrel and you're like,
Squirrel.
oh, let's pull in here because this
Oh,
looks
yeah.
fun and whatever. So it gives you that luxury. If you're flying somewhere, if you're in the air, you can't really do that.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, you just buy too many things on Sky Mall.
they don't have those
I
anymore.
know, that's sad.
COVID.
But so that was my vacation in a nutshell. We also went caving. caving. we took a short tour of a cave.
Spelunking.
Yeah, you want to throw up two of those pictures just real quick, Dylan?
Yeah, that was really
so this was really cool.
cool.
We weren't able to actually go to Mammoth Cave, so we went to a privately owned cave that was just a few miles away from Mammoth Cave. It's not actually connected to Mammoth Cave. Mammoth Cave is like 400 miles of tunnels and somehow not connected to this.
Do you get like claustrophobic and nervous?
It wasn't
down
too
there?
bad. A little bit when we first went in, but it wasn't too bad. Got over it
I don't
pretty
know
fast.
if I could do that.
Yeah. It was, once you kind of acclimate to it, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, or at least I was. I mean, I don't really love being in a place that you can't get out of. But
yeah. How do you get like into
they had stairs. They
like
built
walk,
stairs.
hike?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They built stairs. Yeah. They even built a little kind of like house around it, so it's like protected and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This was interesting. So they had like steel doors. So there were two ways in and out of it, and they had steel doors on it. And the reason that they did it that way is because air would just flow through it, and it would make it really humid and stuff like that. So you
Oh.
got to keep it closed so it keeps nice and cool, so that the cave kind of has proper like humidity and stuff to
Gotcha. Since
grow.
we messed with it and man-made things, we need to at
Yeah.
least take care of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was pretty neat. Yeah, it was really, really cool. So we had a
That's
great
awesome.
time.
Good.
Which brings us back to here where I wasn't.
That's right.
And Dylan was filling in.
That's right.
And we had somebody come in to be interviewed for the paper. And they were like, well, I was really hoping to get on the radio and talk about this. And, it was later in the day, so we weren't able to make that happen. And Dylan was like, hey, I'll interview you and we'll play it on the show next week. So
good.
Yeah. So Dylan, you want to introduce this?
Yeah, so this is someone that went to my high school, and they were juniors. I was a senior. And when I was a senior, I remember getting into all these busy things, just trying to get your name out there, do something big.
Yeah.
And that's what this person has been doing in their summer. And they went to 2 different trips: the Buckeye Rural Electric Co-op Youth Tour and the YCAT Leadership Retreat.
Okay.
And in this video, I asked her all about that. And yeah,
Who is her?
Deanna Houston.
Okay. And she goes to Jackson High School, so she'll be a senior this year.
Yeah, and she was also the Apple Festival's second attendance.
Okay.
I've heard of her from there.
Okay. Very good.
Nice.
All right.
Well, we will end the show today with Dylan's interview.
Yeah, very
All
good.
right.
Hi, this is Dillon Euler. I'm an intern here at Total Media, and I have Deanna Houston. She is a high school YCAT leader and Apple Festival's second attendant. Deanna was recently chosen for the Buckeye Rural Electric Tour. What was it called again?
Buckeye Electric Co-op Youth Tour.
Co-op Youth Tour. And she was also chosen for the YCAT Leadership Tour, or trip?
Leadership Retreat.
Leadership Retreat. All right. So, Deanna, tell us a little bit about the Buckeye Rural.
The Buckeye Rural Electric Co-op trip.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a Washington, D.C. trip that was taking high school students from the grades sophomore and juniors. I was the only Jackson County person picked for this. To get into the application, I had to write 2 essays. I had to get letters of recommendations, and then if you passed that round, you got a second round, and in that round you had to take a test of true and false questions and then write 2 essays over what electric co-ops are and the history of electric co-ops and how it helped rural communities. And
And she was the only one from Jackson High School, which I think is pretty cool because it's not too often one of our own gets sent for something bigger. So I think that's really neat. And then you said that you saw a bunch of cool sights and such.
Yes. So this was almost an 8-day trip. It was about a 6 to 7, 8-hour drive. Okay, I just said a lot of random numbers, but that was about how long it was. I was with 36 other applicants. We rode a tour bus up to Washington, D.C. The first night we stayed at a hotel and we kind of got to know each other. And that next morning we drove up to another hotel and I got to meet Texas. Texas actually was leaving that day. The co-ops from Texas left that day, and I got to we do this thing called pin trading. So we had little lanyards with our names on it, and then we all got I got 20 Ohio pins, but I kept one for myself. And then you can trade your Ohio pin for their state pin. So I actually got Texas's pin that day. I got a couple other ones. I think I got 3 North Carolina ones that day too.
It's a lot of pins.
Yeah. I think I ended up with 40 pins by the end of the week. Obviously, with such a big groups, like Tennessee, for example, had over 200 applicants. And so they had from 3 different areas of Tennessee came. But for Ohio, we only had 36 because it's kind of a picky program. They pick and choose, so it just depends how many they want to take. So I throughout the trip, I met different states. It's so funny to hear everybody's accents. Mississippi people and Missouri people, they have the most southern accents you could ever hear. But then you have what state?
And you sent me a few photos of your trip, so I wanted to go through those real quick.
Yeah. Okay, so that was a riverboat trip we took the first night. So that was the same day we came to our hotel, met a couple other states, and we went to a couple memorials that day as well. But in the evening, we went on this boat ride, and it got to pass all the main monuments. We passed the Capitol building, and I think, if I can remember, South Dakota, Louisiana, Ohio, and New Jersey were all on this boat. So we had almost 300 people on this boat.
It's a lot of people on a boat.
This photo was a memorial. We watched a marching band that evening, and then we took pictures. So before this, we had taken a picture with our entire group, and then this is a picture with me and my friends. And honestly, I didn't think I was going to be good at making friendships throughout this trip, or everyone was saying the week's going to go by so fast. You're not even I had never met any of these people before, and the first night was they picked 2 people and you were rooming with them in a hotel. And it was kind of awkward at first, but then the second night we were at a different hotel, so I got to actually the person that was my roommate, I had made friends with her earlier on in the next day, so I'm wow, I just got to roommate with somebody I just made friends with, and then I made a couple other friends, and it was just nice to experience something, and it's so hard because we're all 2-4 hours away from each other. Yeah. And one of my closest friends is only an hour away from me, so we hope to make plans this next coming year. But it's just crazy from this experience. I made friendships I didn't think I was going to be able to make.
Yeah. And it looks like is that the entire group of everybody?
Yes. Picture, we're actually at the Supreme Court House. So that day is when we got to talk to a couple senators from Ohio, and I actually got to talk to the Ohio representative, and I got to talk to J.D. Vance. So I got to kind of experience a lot bigger of a environment that I've ever been in. So it was definitely something different than I've ever done before. And also rained all that day. That was actually my birthday. That was the day of my birthday. And I just remember I feel so miserable right now. And we had to talk to all these senators and representatives. I didn't really know who they were. We had prepared questions to ask them about rural co-ops, electric co-ops, and then also we had just we talked about teacher shortages and other stuff. So it was definitely an experience I'll probably never be able to get again.
Yeah. I mean, it's good that people from our area get to go on bigger trips like this. And it's nice of the Buckeye Rural to provide this opportunity for students.
It was a full expense paid trip. I even got $200 that week for meal money. And I think I had $70 left I spent on t-shirts and pens.
And that's another cool thing for them to do, provide money for the trip. So it's all expenses paid.
Yep. I didn't have to pay a single dime.
Nice. And on to YCAT, because you did too.
Yes. My June was quite busy.
Yeah, it sounds like a busy June. So the YCAT is in a bigger organization, but they have one at our high school, and you're one of the leaders of that. So how exactly did you get chosen for this?
So for this trip, I am one of the leaders or co-advisors for the Youth Climate Action Team at our Jackson High School, and Rural Action that actually started up YCAT for our school. Mrs. Siders put out a thing, and I had originally went to just a YCAT retreat back in April, and we stayed the night at Hocking Hills Oh, I don't remember the name of the
I
camp.
think I might have actually been on one of those trips to
Yes,
Hocking
you were the
Hills.
year before.
Yeah.
And then we had another retreat. And I actually got to talk to a couple OU professors because I want to go into environmental science or geology, but I'm also hoping to go to South Carolina for school. So
Yeah, and that's something that our community and just the world in general could use more of, people like focusing on the environment as a
yes.
career.
And nobody really realizes that there's so many environmental jobs, especially in geology and marine biology, that
Yeah.
like nobody's even heard of. Like when I told my mom, I'm like, I want to be a geologist. She's like, what is that? But yeah.
And then they provided this trip, and I believe you said it was partially for like teaching leadership skills. Would
Yes,
you
it
say you've
was.
learned like some leadership skills through it?
Yes, it was a lot of the entire trip was for leadership, and like the first official day, we climbed up Spruce Knob and like knee-length ferns. There was rocks everywhere. I swear I was going to sprain an ankle. I actually broke my boots that day. I had rubber boots and I like rubber hiking boots, and I actually ripped through them on both sides from the rocks. And I think where we used a compass and a map, and we had to
That's
use.
not it. That's not it either. That's
we
not
had
it either.
to.
There we go.
Yeah. So this is the Yerks are behind us,
1 second.
which is the Yerks are behind us in that picture, and the pictures don't do you justice. Now, I didn't have my phone on this trip because there's really no connection out there, so there's no point. But our leaders did take a couple pictures. I think I had like 20 pictures of total because we were just so busy. But the views were crazy. I mean, there's mountains everywhere. And I just think that's my friend Lacey and then my friend Eric. And honestly, I have never grown so close to somebody. So like these people, like I grew so close to these people because it is like we're sleeping in a tent by ourselves in the middle of nowhere. And the fact that I got to do that with these people was amazing. But it was like responsibility, like taking care of yourself. Like we went in a cave, and actually our person that was leading the cave hike, she actually got super nervous. So there was a cave convention that week. So literally this cave has a river in it. So there's mud everywhere. You're crawling through like the tiniest holes ever. And my leader, or like our person that was leading it, she got scared like the last 10 minutes. We were this close to the end of the cave and she got nervous. So she had to have a minute to herself. We had a minute to ourselves. Like how are we feeling? How's our health feeling? Are we feeling any anxiety or any of this? This was a very like talk to each other kind of group. And we ended up going back the opposite way because we just didn't feel comfortable. And all her surroundings were completely different from this convention happening. So I think what I mostly learned from that trip was responsibility and taking over everybody's health and safeness over your pride. Because when you're too prideful, you kind of just see, oh, me, you, I. Like, it's not like a everybody else, we kind of situation. So I definitely learned that from
And I'd say it's a pretty good lesson to learn. So it's a good thing they provided this for people at the high school, just giving younger people an opportunity to learn these kind of lessons.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's about all we had to cover. And, thank you, Deanna, for coming in. And that was it. Goodbye.
And that was it. Goodbye.
Good job, Dillon.
Yes.
No, that's really cool. She has like a lot of interesting lessons that she learned over her time.
Yeah,
away.
yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, very cool. Hey,
it is
Jackson
Tuesday.
County Fair's going on today.
Jackson County Fair. Today is Sheep Day.
Sheep Day.
And Goat Day.
Goat Day. Remember when we were talking to Matt McKee's daughters at the fair last year, and we were like, what's your favorite part of the fair? And the one little girl was like, goats.
Hey, out of the mouths of babes, right? But yeah, today is Tuesday, sponsored by West Banco. They're at the fair, so I want to give them a shout out. Junior Fair showmanship, sheep and market sheep going on this morning. And then we go straight into the goat show. Goats. And that'll go through the afternoon. There's going to be, I don't know what 4-H demonstrations are, but they're going to be at the 4-H building.
I think that's the non-animal projects.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. The ride's open from 2 to 10.
Yeah, and the radio will be there from 2 to 5, I believe. You know who the On the Go radio crew is this afternoon?
Who?
Porterhouse and Dillon.
Dillon. All right.
So tune in to WKOV between 2 and 5, and you might hear
Love that.
Dillon on there with Porterhouse.
Our sweet Dillon.
Yeah, and then at 3 o'clock is the Junior Fair Market Goat Showmanship.
Mm-hmm.
At 4 is the Open and Junior Fair Market Goat Breeding Show. At 6 o'clock is the Junior Fair Market Goat Show, and then at 7 is the Truck and Tractor Pull on the Bellisio Foods Grandstand, brought to you by Southeastern Ohio Pulling Series.
Yeah, and if you haven't ever been to the Truck and Tractor Pull, number one, wear your earplugs. But number two, it is so cool.
Yeah.
It is so fun.
Yeah.
And they have, like, when you say tractor, I talked about this the other day, it's not like your John Deere tractor. Like, I mean, I think they have those too, but like, I mean, we're talking about these tractors.
Yeah,
are
they're like
have
monster truck tractors.
Yeah, they have like jet engines in them and stuff, like
Mhm.
crazy stuff.
Yep.
So to watch those things pull the sled is really, really cool. So yeah, get out to the fair today. $10 admission, get you in, get you everything. The rides, the grandstand entertainment, the junior fair, all of that stuff.
Yeah. And then tomorrow night, we're going to be out there sometime tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yes.
Yeah, but I also want to mention that tomorrow, Wednesday, is Senior Day, so senior citizens get in free.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I get in free tomorrow.
Yeah, since, you graduated high school in 1976. That was the bicentennial.
I hate you. I didn't miss you while you were gone.
I'm sure you did.
All right. Well, we do have to get out of here for the day. Got lots and lots of things to cover today. And then we will be back tomorrow. Do we have a guest tomorrow?
We do. We are going to talk about a nonprofit group tomorrow.
Oh,
where
cool.
We're going to learn
Love
about
that.
what they do.
Helping.
Yeah.
Love that. All right. Well, have a great day, everyone. And we'll see you right back here tomorrow. Get out to the fair and enjoy it. Bye-bye.
This just in.
The Telegram News has a new website.
thetelegrammnews.com.
Same dedicated coverage.
Same trustworthy news with a brand new look.
Covering Jackson and Benton counties and surrounding areas.
Locally owned and operated, thetelegrammnews.com has its finger on the pulse of the community.
Stay up to date on local events, high school sports, and breaking news.
thetelegrammnews.com.
Subscribe today at thetelegrammnews.com.
Check it out.